Welcome to another episode of Agent versus Lender. And today we have with us Laurie Read. She is with Keller Williams. She's been an agent for about 5 years, but don't let that fool you. Her first year, she did 28 transactions, right?
Yeah, just about 28 transactions. Yep.
And this year, 2020, she wrapped up with 68.
68, yep.
So don't let her fool you. 5 years in the industry and already producing like a top agent is pretty amazing. So we're going to tell you how she did that. We're going to talk a little bit about builders and her experience with building and with builders. But also don't let that fool you, her numbers, because her builders is only a small part of her business. So this is going to be a really good one. So welcome, Laurie. Welcome to our podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be a part of this. So thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So tell us, Laurie has a little bit of a story about getting into the real estate business. So tell us a little bit about your story and how you got in. And
yeah. So for me, real estate was never even on the radar. To me, I kind of thought they had this stigma of, for lack of better analogy, the used car salesman. I was working for an accounting firm that it was just hitting a point that my kids would laugh, every January as tax season started rolling in. I'd say, hey, I'll see you guys in April. Because I would leave to work before they got up for school, and I'd get home after they'd gone to bed. And my husband does a lot in this industry, and he really kept encouraging me to look into real estate. And finally, I just hit a point that I was like, there's got to be something more to life than this. Yeah. And so I was like, okay, I'll just go to school and I'll just do it part-time. We'll just kind of see how this goes. And he probably knew at the time, I have an all or nothing personality. Like, it's just not how I roll. And so 3 days into school, I came home and said, I got to quit my job. This is, I either got to go all in or not do it at all. Because in order for me to do this well and to the level that I think it should be, it's got to be my main focus.
So you burned the boat. You know the story about burning the boat, right? Have you heard that?
No.
Well, now that I asked that question, a lot of people may or may not. So there's a story about, and now I can't even remember who it was.
Yeah.
But they pulled up to an island, and there was, I don't know if they're pirates or who they were going to take this island over, and there's a lot of people in the crew that weren't sure if they wanted to really do this. And the captain said, no, we are staying. And he ordered the boat to be burned. And so they had no choice but to stay and do what they were there for. Yep. So you burned the boat.
I did. I burned the boat, and my husband just said, okay, we'll figure it out, And when I kind of had expressed what I was doing to my close circle, I didn't have a massive support. They all are like, really, Laurie? Do you know what you're getting into? A market like that has highs and lows, And so it almost became I was going to prove that I could do it. And I did my first year, had some really great numbers. I was Rookie of the Year. I just set out for a goal and said, I think the biggest thing in being successful in this business is I think sometimes people treat it as a part-time thing and just something they can do on the side. But for me, this was a career I wanted to do. We're handling some of their biggest financial decisions they'll ever make. And so for me, I was showing up at the office every day at 9. It wasn't just a 9-to-5 job for me, but I was still showing up and I was doing what I needed to do in order to be successful at this. And I just slowly started building relationships. And thankfully, I actually turned into, before starting working with the builder, a referral-based business within a year, to where everything I was getting was referral-based. And the builder I'm working with now actually came to me through a referral, and it's just been amazing.
Yeah, that's just actually really incredible to turn out those kinds of numbers in your first year. I know agents that have been in business for years and years, and their goals are less than what you did your first year. So congratulations. That's just really amazing. I love to hear stories like that. So you kind of touched on how you did that, because a lot of people want to know, well, how do you do 28 transactions in your first year? And it sounds like a lot of it was referral based, but how did you get out there?
Well, for me, I just, like I said, I rented a little space. So I started out with Better Homes and Garden, and I rented an office space. And if I was going to do this, I was going to go all in. And I just started showing up to the office every day. I think personal touches are huge. And for me, I really wanted to build connections and relationships with people. And so it was, I sent out basically what looked like somewhat of a end of year Christmas card. I put my family picture on it, and I just sent it to everybody I knew and could think of, hey, I've made a career change. This is what I'm doing. And I just started having conversations with people I knew about what I was doing and why I was doing it and why I made this change and why it was such a serious thing for me that I wasn't doing it just something on the side, that I really wanted to be there for those people. And conversations, honestly, and just really reaching out to the people I knew already and just following up.
So your SOI is really how you did that.
Mm-hmm.
And
yep.
That's really important, because I think a lot of people don't remember that your SOI can really help you. And don't be shy about letting people know what you do for a living.
Right.
And I'm assuming you probably stayed in front of them via not just conversations, but probably some other marketing as well, whether it's
Facebook and
social media.
Mm-hmm. But like I said, I'm big on the personal relationships. I never wanted to be the type of person that when my name showed up on the phone, a family member or friend is like, ugh, she's calling to tell me about real estate again. Like I genuinely have a huge caring for everyone around me, and my heart's huge for all of them, that I just wanted them to know that, hey, I'm there, whether it's real estate related or not. Let me be a resource for you. If you have a plumbing issue or whatever it is, let me help, let me network out and see what else is out there, that it doesn't have to just be real estate related, that let me be just kind of your resource and do the research for you and find out which directions to go if you have issues and things like that. And so it's just, for me, like I said, it was just super focusing in on my relationships that cool. I had.
You know what? You can't fake that.
No.
There's a lot of people that really that fake that in our industry, or whether it's our industry or somebody else's industry. A lot of people say they have relationships with people but it's mostly they fake it. And your numbers tell me you don't fake it. So that, because you can't fake. People see through it.
Oh,
people totally see through
for
that.
Sure.
So, yeah.
For sure.
So you mentioned. You mentioned builders, that you work with a builder, and that how long have you worked with this builder now?
I'm going on just a little over a year.
Oh, cool.
Now with him.
Oh, cool. So your first 4 years, you were doing this by yourself.
Yes.
And so tell us, and your builder found you. You didn't go seek him out.
Yeah, we had mutual friends that I had actually helped him. He was another builder that he'd built my home, just does a few homes here and there, and his friend Scott Lindsay, who's the builder I work for now, was saying that he needed to find an agent, and our friend just was like, hey, I have one that's a killer agent for you. She'll do what she's got to do to make sure that you're successful as well. And so, I mean, obviously it was still an interview process and things for him to meet me, but yeah, it's been great. It's been really exciting, a lot of learning for me as well. But yeah, it's been really good. But yeah, he came to me through a mutual friend.
Oh, awesome. So let's talk about builder, because there seems to be a lot of that going on right now.
Yeah, it's insane.
So tell us a little bit about the builder market, and why there's so much building going on.
I think right now what we're seeing a lot of, like you probably know and a lot of people know, just our lack of inventory of existing homes. I mean, we have way more buyers right now. And so I think just trying to keep up with the demand of what we've got going, it's, super profitable right now for builders. And so, we're just seeing a huge influx in that. And I think with our housing shortage as well in existing homes, we're hearing a lot of multiple offers and things like that going. I said, you're starting to see that.
Even on the build side.
Even on building side. And it's getting to a point that I know, not us, but I know of other builders that have kind of put a freeze on taking on new contracts right now. They're trying to get a handle on what they have going there. Just, I think interest rates are playing a huge role into that right now, where they're so low. Buying power is a lot higher for people. People are selling at top dollar, so they're being able to have, that larger deposit that a lot of the times you need with building. Sure. You've got to come in with cash. And so it's giving a little more opportunity that way, I think, to our buyers.
And so tell us about, you had mentioned to me that something about the land, and in Utah, we're right between a lake and a mountain, and so the land sometimes is a little more scarce. You can't just go build up the side of the mountain or out in the lake.
Right. And I think that's why you're seeing building prices going up and everything too. Because we're stuck between a lake and a mountain. We only have so much developable land that's available, that you're starting to see a lot more high density than I think we've ever seen, at least up north here. I know we see a lot of it down Salt Lake and things like that, but you're starting to see a lot more high density building going on, just because I think our population is getting higher. We're having a lot of people moving in, and we don't have a lot of land left, and so we're starting to squeeze.
Yeah, well, there is a lot of land, but there you just got to go way north, or you got to go way south. I mean,
way west,
almost from Brigham City to south of Provo, even all the way down to Payson. It's just almost one city now. 10, 15, 20 years ago, there was huge spaces and huge tracts of land that were available, and you just don't see that anymore.
Yeah.
So there's land available.
It's there.
You got to travel.
It's there, and I know, like, we've ran into, with looking at different areas too, is, I think right now with costs rising and things like that, it's more cost effective for builders as well and developers to start doing more of that high density, and
Sure.
You start getting into some of these areas and they don't want it. We've ran into that a little bit, and so it's just, I think the pricing and everything is playing a huge role in how we're going to see this develop over the next couple of years.
Yeah.
I don't think building's coming down anytime soon.
No, I don't think so either. Just because you're right. Just as people move into the area, the housing market is just so it's so scarce. Mm-hmm. There's just more demand than there is inventory. So,
yep.
And this is one way to solve it is to build. And
yep.
so you said that you could get more for your money by building. Is that what you said?
No, I was just meaning more. I think buyers are seeing right now, because interest rates are so low, they're able to kind of keep their house payments more of where they want versus, when interest rates are higher. And so it is enticing them more to building, because they can get brand new and still keep a reasonable payment.
There's something about having a brand new house. You go in and it's just, and you get to pick out the colors, you get to pick out all the carpet, and sometimes sometimes depending on the builder, you can even move walls, you can have some say about how the house looks. So there is something to be said about that.
Oh, for sure.
Totally.
And I think you're starting to see a lot of that happening right now. I know I have a lot of agents that come to us all the time that, based on their clients' needs and stuff, with our inventory so low, that their building's really the only way for them to go to get everything that they're wanting. We have, some bigger families here in the area. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of options that have more room. So it just kind of makes sense.
So you're an agent. Well, you're not a captured agent for that builder, because you still have a lot of buyers that you work with. Mm-hmm. But as you work with this builder and you're on the selling side, I'm sure you see some real estate agents that maybe aren't as familiar with the building process. And so what advice can you maybe give to the agents that are on the buyer side, that maybe can help them as they go through this process?
My biggest thing is, don't be afraid to ask questions. You have to start somewhere. We all did our first transaction kind of feeling like we were, navigating our way through the dark. And for us, and this isn't for all builders across the board, but for Scott and I encourage the buyer's agents to be involved. If they're going to be there, I want them to be a part of the process. I want them to ask questions if they don't understand the contract. I had to learn it too, that we all have a starting point, and to not just treat your buyers like and I see this a lot, and it's unfortunate that I think some agents think new construction is an easy paycheck. They get them under contract with the builder and then they're out, and you never hear from the buyer's agent again, until closing day or whatever. And I've had some that the buyer's agents have never even seen the house that their clients are building, and to each their own to how they run their business. But for me, I think it's super important to be there through the whole process with them and making sure that your client really feels like you have their back, and sometimes just having their second opinion when you're in design and things like that. I think it's great to have them be a part of it. But the biggest thing is just asking the questions. Like, I will walk anybody through the process if they want. But a lot of the time they just get them under contract and I never hear from them again.
Well, the downfall in that is that if they walk away, they get them under contract, help with whatever negotiations they need, and get them under contract, and then they're pretty much absent for the rest of the time. There's going to be somebody that's going to be there, and that's going to be you.
Yep.
And so the buyers are going to listen and remember you, because you've been there through the entire transaction.
Yep.
So, I mean, good for you.
Yeah, it's great for me, but at the same time, like, I have worked with those builders in the past that once you're under contract, they basically tell you as a buyer's agent, like, move along, we don't want you a part of this, which that's how they do
But
it.
as a buyer's agent,
you should fight that.
You should push
Definitely.
back. You say, this is my client, and
Yep.
I want to make sure that client is taken care of. And that's
Absolutely.
what a good agent.
Absolutely.
And even if you're a little more passive, it's still your client.
Yep.
And you're right, because I have worked with some builders that they are that way, and they kind of want you out of the way.
Yeah.
But a good agent's going to be there.
Absolutely.
And your buyers are going to so appreciate having somebody that they feel like is in their corner.
Yep, absolutely. Nope, I agree with that 100%. Like I say, I've dealt with those builders, but I'm going to push back and say, no, I brought these guys to you, or, they were interested. I'm not going anywhere. This is what my clients have hired me to do, and I'm going to see it to the end. And that is, I think, how I've been able to build my business the way I have, is because I'm there every single step of the way. I don't miss a closing. I will schedule my vacations, all of that around what I have going on with my clients, because I just feel like it is so important that we're there the entire step. Because like I said before, this is most people's biggest financial decision that they'll ever make, and it can either ruin them or set them up, for financial success, that they can turn things into investments. And I think just having those conversations with them and letting them know what it can look like for them is huge.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, totally agree. So you've done, I don't know if we said this. Did we say this at the beginning, how many transactions you did this year?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were like killing it. You were top. I don't know where you would stand in Utah, but I imagine you're probably in the top few percentage. And you don't have much of a team.
No.
In fact, tell me about your team and when you actually started hiring them. This just blows me away.
So about, what are we in January? So probably 4 or 5 months ago is the first time I hired a transaction coordinator to just help with the paperwork.
That just I gotta tell you, that just completely blows me away.
Yeah, so that one, and that honestly took some time for me to adjust to, because I have such this strong of I've got to be involved in every aspect, but I was starting to see some of it was taking away from the expectation of level of service that I have for myself, for my clients. And like, my clients are always going to be the number one. So I hired a transaction coordinator to just help with the paperwork. And then first part of October, I hired a licensed assistant, and still kind of working. She's amazing, but still me trying to relinquish things to let her take over. But she's been phenomenal. So yeah, it's really been the last 4 or 5 months that I've actually had help.
Yeah, when you first told me that, you saw my reaction when you first told me that. That was just like, are you serious right now? How did you manage to do the number of transactions that you do without help? And but you said you had a really good support structure.
Yeah, so my husband is amazing. He's really good at helping support whatever I need to do and, working our schedules together and helping take care of the kids when needed. So that's been huge for me. I'm a little bit, and my assistant can tell you this now, I'm a little bit OCD control freak that I like to just have things a certain way. And so from the very beginning when I was brand new and didn't have anything going on, I was sitting in the office and figuring out how I was going to keep track of files and deadlines and things like that. And so I just kind of started my own little system and just carried it, and it's just worked. And I've just made sure I time block where I need, and there for a little while. And this is why I hired the transaction coordinator there for a little while, putting the paperwork into the systems that we need to have it in at Keller Williams and stuff was happening after my kids went to bed. And so I was staying up and doing that. And I started realizing, something that I could have somebody be doing. So I'm getting the rest that I need and showing up for my clients the best way I can, that it was time to hand that off. But it really just came down to systems.
Yeah. So there are multiple things. So I don't know if anybody's listening to this. Well, there will be people listening to
Hopefully.
this. But if you're listening to this, rewind what she just talked about in the last probably 3 or 4 minutes, because you talked about you have a support structure, you time block for your for things that you're going to do, because without time blocking, I don't know about you, but it's just like, squirrel,
yeah,
squirrel,
for sure.
And we are reactive to things that are going on. You have systems in place. And I know there was another one in there, but I can't remember what it was.
Right.
Anyway, so there are multiple things.
Yeah.
Which is what is making you successful. Yeah, there's a myriad of things that.
Yeah, I'm like that
successful.
definitely plays a huge role in how I'm doing things, and just making sure I'm doing the same thing regardless.
Yeah. Yeah. So for those that are listening, don't try to reinvent the wheel.
Right.
Look at people that are successful in this business and just do what they're doing. And so Laurie is one that you should be looking at to copy what she's doing. And time blocking and systems and support structures and an assistant, and I congratulate you on the assistant, because that was something that I struggled with immensely. Fortunately, I have some really good coaches that coach me through, and the more I get into, and the more my team builds, the more things that I relinquish to the team, because I find out that there are certain things that I'm just like really good at. And there are other things that like I'm okay at, or I don't really enjoy doing.
Right.
And I hire people to do those things that are really good at it, and they love doing that, because our personalities are so different, and they have a different personality than I do. I don't want to hire a lot of people like me, because I do those kind of things that I'm really good at and really enjoy. So the more that I relinquish, the more business that we actually do, because the process is far smoother than when I tried to do it all myself. And you're probably finding that out yourself as well.
Yeah. So a couple things that you mentioned that were huge for me too is in the beginning too is finding people that I wanted to run my business like, and sitting down with them and asking what it was they were doing, how they were doing it, and for me, I really resonated more with some of the mom agents, because I'm like, how are you doing this? And so I think just job shadowing, for lack of a better word, and just following them and seeing what they were doing was huge. Our leaders at Keller Williams there for a while kept telling me I needed an assistant, I needed the transaction coordinator, and I pushed back for probably 2 years of, no, I can do it. And then once I hired that assistant, I remember one day standing in my kitchen, and I'd asked her to do something, and she texted me 30 minutes later, and she's like, it's done. And I looked at my husband and I said, she just alleviated 3 hours of work for me. right there, I was
Right.
just like, I have 3 hours that I wouldn't have had before to spend with my little boy and my husband. And so right then I knew like that was the best decision I ever made. And it's just made me that much more available to my clients.
Yeah.
And be able to show up so much better for them in the way that they deserve me showing up. So it's been huge.
And that's when the light bulb starts to go on, when
Yeah.
you make those kind of hires, and because they're so focused on what they do. So I can take it from beginning to end. I
Right.
know how to do a loan from the beginning to end. But it takes me a long time, because once you get into the processing part of it and that detail work,
Yep.
I am just not a detailed kind of guy. Just be honest. I'm just not a detailed kind of guy. So just like you said, it would take you 3 hours where it takes them 30 minutes. And it's the same thing here. So I have to relinquish some of that stuff over to my processor and to my assistants, and they take care of all that stuff. And it frees me up to talk to clients, to talk to my referral partners, and talk to other people.
Yep.
To do the marketing part of it. It frees me up to do that frees me up to do podcasts.
Yeah.
Without having my team, there is no way I could do what I do.
Yeah.
Not a chance.
Yeah, it was my team leader at Keller Williams that really suggested it. And I remember I called her that day too and just said, why didn't you tell me to do this 2 years ago? And she just laughed. Yeah. It was like, well, and I'm like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
So,
That's cool.
yeah, it's been huge.
So one of the things also that Laurie does is not only is she a rock star real estate agent, but she gives back to the community. And so tell us about the foundations that you have started.
So I have a couple. The first one I started donating to, and it's not a foundation or anything that I set up, but it's just something super dear to my heart, is I struggled a lot with infertility and knew the cost of it and everything like that. And it took me 5 years to get my little guy, and he's just my miracle. And I know what it was like, and I know the financial burden it really put onto people. And I always told myself, if I ever got into a position that I wanted to give back. So every transaction I do, I donate down to the reproductive care center to just help with offsetting medication costs or anything, that goes along with the infertility process to maybe help somebody else get their little miracle baby.
That I just tell you that's amazing, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that now that they know are going to thank you for that. Whether they're your client or not, I think people are going to appreciate those kind of gestures to help other people.
Yeah, like I said, it was just something that I just wanted to do, that I just started doing. The other one that is super near and dear to my heart is I have a foundation for police officers. I have 2 brothers that are police officers. One passed away 2 years ago, not in the line of duty, but after he passed and reading all about the different things, how people viewed him as a police officer in his community, and how he was just the first one to always go in and, be the kind of the protector, I just thought, how can I really honor his legacy and honor what he's doing in a world where right now I feel like police officers need more support than ever. They're kind of being attacked from every angle. So I set up a foundation called the Jason W. Read Protect and Serve Foundation. It is named after my brother. And what our goal is to do is to go in and help with any additional equipment or training that our officers need so they're getting home safe every night. There are a lot of foundations and things for officers and their families if they were to die in the line of duty, which I think are absolutely amazing. But I want something that we're protecting our officers so we don't need those ones of them dying in the line of duty. In 2020 is kind of our first full year of really having this foundation going. I honestly had a goal of $5,000. I thought, if we can raise $5,000, I'm going to be over the moon. On December 31st, I got one last donation that pushed us over $20,000.
Nice.
And it's just been flooring me. So I do have a couple of officers on our board because I want to make sure whatever it is we're providing are things that our officers really need. It's not just the next cool techie gadget. Like, it is something that they really need. And as we have been getting the applications back, it's been kind of crazy to me and heartbreaking what our departments are asking for. Just simple things like ballistic shields to protect them if they're coming up on, an angry shooter or anything. Just something as simple as a shield to just protect them. That's really what most of our applications have been this year, and they're not very expensive, but there's just been so many cuts right now that our departments just don't have the budget for it. So that's where I want us to step in.
That is actually heartbreaking to know that these people are willing to put their lives on the line, and they're doing it without, the safety equipment that they need.
They're doing it with expired bulletproof vests. Some of the departments, their equipment is so outdated. They're just trying to get updated equipment, and they're like I said, these applications that I'm getting, I'm blown away too, because I just think if everybody could just pitch in a couple bucks a year, like, we could have our departments and our men and women so protected, because they're not asking. Like I said, I was worried they were going to ask for the latest and greatest techie gadget, and they're not. They're just wanting to update their equipment so their officers are safe.
They just want to go home at night.
Yep, they just want to go home.
Do.
Yep.
Just like you and I.
The rest of us, yeah.
We just want to go home.
Yep, and so that's just been my goal is, my brother was bigger than life, and, the guys that he worked with, he was an officer for Centerville City, and they always said he was going to be the first one to go in. He was going to make sure everybody was out, and so I'm like, well, I can carry this on by making sure we're giving them the equipment to come back out.
That's cool.
So, yeah.
So thank you so much for doing that. That is, I just have no words. That's just amazing.
Like I say, I wish I could say that $20,000 was all me, but that has been the other thing that has been so touching and just mind-blowing, that we hit $20,000 our first year. The amount of community support I have received in this. Like I said, I was a little nervous because I was like, I know there's a lot of pushback with police officers right now, but I've just been blown away to the amount of donations we've received.
That's awesome. So if somebody wants to donate to either one of your foundations, do they contact you?
They can contact me directly. We do have a Facebook page. It's called the Jason W. Read Protect and Serve Foundation. We have a PayPal account set up. We are a 501(c), so we are 100% charitable contribution. So it's a benefit, to everyone if they're donating. We have an account in that same name set up at America First, so they can go and donate there. Like I said, PayPal, they can contact me. We do have some T-shirts and hats that I don't want to say, for a donation of $25, you can get a hat. For a donation of $15, you can get a T-shirt. And the nice thing that we've been able to do, and I want to continue it to be this way, is everything that we've done with the T-shirts and hats and things like that, it has not taken a penny from the foundation. Having those made, everything of that was 100% donated to us. So we did a raffle back in October and raised about $6,000 with that. And every single prize, I had a huge 60-inch screen TV that was donated.
Wow.
I had to, so everything I'm doing, I never want to take a penny from the foundation to pay for anything that we're doing. So I've worked really hard at trying to make sure everything's
That's cool.
100%.
So whether they want to donate to one of your foundations, or whether you want to contact you, whether an agent wants to contact you to ask them questions, or somebody that is looking for a rock star real estate agent, what's the best way for people to contact you?
Just call me.
What's that phone number?
801-668-6814. Super easy number. They're all the same.
Yeah, that is pretty easy. Well, Laurie, I appreciate you coming on our show today and sharing with us a little bit about you and your story, how you got in, and a little bit about the builders and how the buyer's agent can maybe make themselves a little bit more available during that process. So I appreciate and also sharing with us about your foundations. That's really amazing. So thank you so much for your time and coming on today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This is a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Thank you.
So if you want to reach me or my team, you can get hold of us at 801-628-7667. And that will wrap up another episode of Agent versus Lender.